It's a chess program on POD TV. My name is Sasha Starr, and our guest today is Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thank you very much for having me on. I've just come back from the Smart Moves Chess Summit held on location with the World Schools Team Championship, where I was an honored guest and speaker on chess and education, those aspects of my work.
Great. What's was well attended
It
conference?
was very well attended. I met some fantastic people. There are, and let's see, I can show you some pictures from it.
Okay.
So let me share my entire screen. And so let's see. So this was the summit itself. So Dina Reznitsa Osla and Arkady Dvorkovich were both there. Dvorkovich
Wow.
was there. Sponsored Timur Turlov of Freedom Holding Corporation
Yes.
as well. He was there. I even used one of his quotes in my slides for a main point. This is Jerry Nash, Secretary of the Education Commission,
Yes.
Jenny Ingber from Chess and Schools New York, Leonzo Garcia, famous chess journalist, Rita Atkins from Hungary and Britain, among people. And here is a photo of all of us in front of the Capitol building. I'm behind Dana Reznitsa right in the middle. There's Max Lugi, there's Rita Atkins. Jerry Nash is over here. And Priya Kanapin, Grandmaster Associate Doignik, Svetlana Demchenko, who was a speaker and gave a simultaneous exhibition. There are other people I could point out. So it was a great time. I was on a panel about tech on the board, and I made some basic, among questions that were prepared for this was an observation that Gary Kasparov made about 10 years ago. His opinion that today's juniors wanted to know what the computer's move was. What is the move? Not the why and how of how I arrive at a move. And he was decrying that effect. So I was interested in whether these actual chessboard teachers run into that phenomenon. I also gave a private talk in a smaller classroom on my work, and let me just play. Let's see if a video clip from this presentation. So this is on my website. This was my presentation on the not mostly emphasizing the non-cheating aspects of my work and really looking for elements of skill in the manner of how a spectroscope detects elements and knows about the composition. So the basic point is conveyed. So let's see if sound will play.
I can't hear anything. I'm sorry, there is no sound.
Yeah, the sound isn't playing, Ken. You might have to see if you can get the sound from your side of the computer on the edge there, but it was not playing. So check your speakers and maybe you get the sound on that side. Yep. Ken, it's not playing.
Ken, can you hear me?
I can. It's
Oh,
okay without the sound.
yeah, okay.
Because the point comes clear through, and here it is. I'm going to stop right here. Okay. Well, it's also what I presented was solid evidence for the theory that that recognition plays a bigger role in chess skill than consciously thinking it out. Of course, thinking is important. So a lot of this was, basic background on my work, what are Z scores and elements like that. Present are crucial, but here was the crux of my own talk, is that when people play their moves fairly quickly, Okay, I use seniors here and 8-year-olds, similar things. They play well because they recognize the situation. But thinking for a long time is a sign of difficulty. And it was even at the World School Team Championship played on site. Uh, so, so this says that what we should do is develop minds by methods, older school methods, drilling, like for instance, playing over all the games in a Shahovsky and Formator was a good thing. Okay,
Yeah, because they had their special annotation system, which
right.
provide the very useful information. But Ken, tell me what you said about that in the faster time control, when you spend less time, your game is more effective.
No, it's when you spend less time, when you have a lot of time in a slow time control. If you're in time pressure, then on average, yes, your game will be affected.
And what about with a slow time control?
Well, okay, with the slow time control, when you make your move quickly in a slow time control game, it's because you know what you're doing, and I measure an increase in your ELO quality.
Okay, so the issue is very simple. The longer time control benefits weaker players, right?
Well, I don't know if I would necessarily conclude that. I mean, thinking is effective compared to making an instant blunder, but maybe recognition trumps thinking. And what I'm showing on the screen now is an example from the crucial final match of the World School Team Championship, okay, where the Velamal High School from India won the tournament despite losing this game on the first board. I'm going to show one of their victories in a second.
Okay.
But so it's white to move here. So how do you save the game? Maybe without looking at the computer evaluation. I always forget to hide it. So white played rook g1.
Yeah.
And this was an instant collapse. It was postponing the loss of a pawn. But the thing is that white's king is going to be trapped.
Opposition, yeah.
Yeah, well, white has opposition, but black can still outflank white, a key move. And now black has the opposition, and now white has to make a losing pawn move.
Yeah.
No other move
if
on the
pawn
board.
g3 would have been on g5, then it would be easier for white.
Well, then white could play king g3 also, and
yes,
opposition would matter more. And actually, most of the point, if the g3 square were available, white would have been able to maintain the opposition in this position.
Right, correct.
Right, when they play king g3. Now, the way to hold this game, very paradoxically, is to give up 2 pawns. You think you want to, but you should just let black have your pawns, okay? Now black can't take the f pawn because then the rook goes.
Yeah.
Okay. So white will check on a4, and black will be unable to defend. So black has to take the h pawn. And now the funny thing is even though black has 2 connected pawns, one is backward, and black actually has no way to keep hold of g6 because the rook only has a few squares. So black can postpone a bit, but now black's king can't get out and do anything constructive. So eventually black has to allow the trade of f pawn for g pawn, and this is the classic h and f pawn draw. Of course, you have to know how to hold it, but it is a drawn position.
Ken, you raised one very interesting question. So if kids are interested to find their move, computer's move, strongest move, right? So
Right.
the chess teachers are at the dilemma when they are trying to teach kids positional play and use of open lines and all the other, like usual, wonderful things. So they would set up position and recommend that in this position that should have been a reasonable move. Now, if kids will put it on the computer may suggest completely different move. So how the teachers will defend their suggestions?
Yeah, that's actually, well, it's a good point. Well, what I think is the teachers give structured guidance that is important for organizing your thoughts and your knowledge. So, for instance, the structured guidance would continue here from how to hold this end game. What are the traps or junctures you need to know with the H and F pawn? So this may be a slightly easier case because of how Black's uh, king is set. Well, actually, here's a trap right away. I mean, Rook F6 is the most natural move. It's also the only move. Okay, and it's actually a little mysterious to me as to why Rook F6 is the only move. So Black plays F4, which was a winning move against any other move in that flank. Now White can play here, and the point is that now White really does have Black in a bind. Okay, so that's the point. Now Black is going to have to shed one of the pawns. So whereas if White casually plays Rook A6 in this position, then F4 is a winning move for Black, and if you play Rook A5, well, it's not effective. It's not on the F pawn. Rook G5 is one way to win. It's probably the way I would play. So you need the structured knowledge, but what I'm saying is the vital component is this drilling of games and positions. So chances are, if you play over several hundred games from the Informator every half year, then you might encounter another end game like this. You probably find it in ChessBase, yeah.
Well, I think that sooner or later somebody will produce the ultimate textbook on teaching chess, and it will be a mother of all chess books where all diagrams, every suggestions will be definitely checked on computers. So there will be no distraction or confusion.
It has QR codes.
Yeah. You see, so maybe that's what will happen the next year.
Yeah. Well, it's possible that Mark Dvoretsky and Jeremy Silman at their respective levels have already written such book. But anyway, so however, let me go over a game by the winners. So
okay.
On board 3 from this tournament. So this is Arun Dakshin, 2274, beating actually women's candidate master Madina Bonu Kalilova. So anyways, this is a great example of how to kill the two bishops. And so the game goes into, by transposition, goes into Queen's Indian type structures that I like to play as Black. So the H6 move, forestalling the pin, and now Black fianchettos on the queen side. Okay, so White plays the bishop b2. I was never actually afraid of the bishop b2, although here Black has invested a tempo to stop it. I don't know. With White fianchettoing, I was always happy to see bishop g5, because then h6 forces a trade or some other clarification. So anyway, so this is, I used to just play my first 10 moves of the board like this. And I used to, however, go for an earlier c5 by Black. So playing h6 and rook e8 is a very patient way of handling this position. Now White decides to do something. Okay, and here Black now prevents White from playing knight b5. Again, I might have played a6 earlier to prevent White playing knight b5, but Black was able to wait. It's probably actually was important to understand why White can't really play it in this position here. Actually, White can. And shockingly to me, the computer is thinking Black can even just play a5 and leave the bishop. Well, I would move the bishop. And the point is that if White takes with the queen, you get activity. If White takes with the knight gets pinned. So it's when White plays rook c1, then then really is now threatening to play knight b5. So Black presents it. Takes a lot of knowledge, though, to play like this.
Right.
So anyway, White plays e3, which is a move addressing the possible source of weakness. Maybe White has the wrong rook on Well, no, but the rook on f1 is needed because sometimes black has tactics with knight g4, knight takes f2. Okay, so black is preparing, just putting the pieces on better positions. And white is shifting around. I think white maybe has not settled on a plan here. And the computer actually already says that black is a tiny bit better. So here we go, knight e4, not liked by the computer necessarily, but completely the way I would play the position. Now we have a nice strong pawn on e4. I love getting that. And however, white is going to go and get the two bishops. All right, so the computer doesn't like that, and this is another point, actually, a point of how dynamism is more important than material. Okay, so what black should do is clamp down on d5. You know, move the knight there, move the bishop there. Rook d8 is apparently also fine, but bishop d5 actually is the most consequential move. The bishop is fantastic on that square, cannot be dislodged. Maybe you have to worry a little bit about tactics with the a pawn, so that's worth taking a look at. Why are we not losing the a pawn? Well, the reason is that black is going to play rook a8 and a8, and that's much worse.
Yeah.
Get the computer to look at it. Bishop d5 certainly fine. Queen e3, e6 looks good, but gave white an opportunity to obtain some dynamic play with these bishops. So white should play d5 now or on one of the next two moves. So white captured, went for the two bishops. Black took this way, opening up the c file and preparing maybe to make a really solid pawn center. Now white should play d5, however. Okay, and then the a1, h8 diagonal will be a powerful source of counterplay, as well as black's e4 will be a weakness, and supporting you with either d5 or f5 is going to have some drawbacks. So d5 was the move to play. Well, white captured a rook. Now d5 still the move to play. White, however, played that, and now those two bishops are dead.
Yeah, useless completely.
So they've been killed. But the way black prosecutes the game from this point on. So the thing is, in this position, you'd still think, wow, it's fairly likely that this game will be drawn. Rooks are coming off. White does not have any weakness that's obvious. So how can black win? Well, one way black can win is if white gets impatient. Okay, so white does have to grovel, and black does actually have a plan, which is to storm the king side, where white's pieces cannot touch it. So white thought it prudent to strike back, but in fact, this gives the advantage completely over to black. Now that knight is just beautiful, and white has a weakness, and white has not really improved the prospects of the bishop all that much. So in fact, the other point about this is that maybe white should trade off the rooks right away. Well, no, black's still going to have a strong position, and what's actually going to happen is that black's knight is going to get traded for white's light square bishop, and then black's queen and bishop are going to blow through the weak squares on the king side, and white cannot mount a comparable attack. So anyway, so black could have traded rooks here, but I guess it's tempo play, not availing. Well, okay, yeah, just maybe white got a couple of tempos to defend, maybe sack with e4. So okay, but black played the very cold-blooded rook e8 move, drilling on a weakness. White's rook is now on a passive position instead of being safely off the board. And black's maneuvering to convert this advantage is really very nice. Okay, so white desperately hoping to trade queens, but black says, no, we're going to infiltrate this way. So now b5, a really nice square. White comes back, and now the star move. So what this does, this is going to force the trade of the light squared bishop, so then black's knight will have free reign. So black, of course, is not going to trade queens. We're after white's king in this position. Now the rook comes around, and it's going to infiltrate. And there's one final nice move to finish off this game. White gasping for air, but black doesn't even have to take it. So knight f3 check, and white gave up.
Wow, very, very strong play by black. Very logical, very quite pleasant to watch. Now, I think white made a mistake by playing f3, but they could prolong the game quite a bit if they would just keep staying and just waiting what black would do. But I think black would win anyway.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with these positions, you might know that to resist a storm, before black plays g5, white should get in h4. Okay, and this way be able to meet g5 by trading. And white's bishop on g2 is a good defender if the h file comes open. And
Yeah.
similarly put here, well, let's see. So tactically, why can't black play g5 right away? Computer on the wall. What you're saying that allows a trade, and bishop a3 and queen b4, and white gets a little bit of play. So, okay, so knight h7. Let's see, what if I play rook e8 right away? Oh, then rook c7 is coming in. I don't want to give white that counterplay. Yeah, so chess requires some judgment of delicate balances. The computer actually wants black to play a5 to deny white the b4 square for the queen and keep white's queen from being active. So there's sense in that move as well. Well, chess not easy game.
It's not, of course.
Yep.
Was with a5, white could use b5 square for its bishop, maybe, although it doesn't change the nature of the position in any case, because white still have to defend f3, h3 as well. Yeah.
It's a So anyway, very interesting game. Well, there are other tournaments going around the world. There was the U.S. Open finished last weekend, but there's a super tournament in India, category 18, happening now. And I'm going to be a little bit jingoistic, patriotic, and highlight a win by two of the younger Americans who are there. Ray Robeson and also Alwnder Liang is there.
Mhm.
So the two of the 10 participants are from the United States. Whoops, I did not mean to do that.
Not the strongest.
This is not the game I meant to show.
Okay.
This is Arjun Erigaisi defeating Alwnder Liang in round 1, but in round 2, Ray Robeson. So just this morning, our time, Ray Robeson defeated Vijit Gujarati.
Wow.
So this is also an interesting game, because again, it's now how white defends against what was actually a very good black position. So Gujarati did get the advantage in this game, playing black, playing again very heavy stonewall type configuration. Okay, but with c5. So I used to not play it with the move c5, but here we go. Black is going to fianchetto the bishop again. So black is going to play on e4, and black will hope to demonstrate that white's bishop on b2 is as dead as it was in the previous game. So we force white's bishop to make white's square bishop to make a declaration. Okay, so slowly play these moves pretty quickly. Now, there's one other thing I want to point out about this game, though. This tournament is being played at the fastest FIDE norm time control, which is 90 minutes plus a 30-second increment, but no extra time at turn 40. And that is also going to factor into this game. So as of now, actually, the players have used about 25 minutes each when you count the increment, more actually. So anyway, black plays knight e4. You have to judge. Sometimes this is premature, but not here. Again, this may be book knowledge for them. The bishop on d6. I always tried to get the bishop to d6 in one move, but it's fine. And now, this is interesting. White captured with the pawn. If white captures with the bishop or the knight, black will actually get a very strong center. So So white still has to wall in the bishop, and now black's getting in c5 was fine. It was actually when white captures on c5 that I always thought maybe white would get some things, but here, not with white's bishop on d3. I'm thinking of positions where white's light squared bishop is being cut out. Okay, so black now is going to get a nice footprint in the center, and here comes the stonewall-like configuration, definitely clamping down on e4. The way to fight against a knight on e4 is to get the move f3 in, but white's arrangement of pieces is absolutely preventing anything like that. So white actually is tied down to the defense of d2. So white's knight moves away, and now white finally makes this countermeasure. Often in the positions I played, this was played on move 2. Okay, so now, yeah, okay, fine. White needs to create some activity on the queen side. And so here, so black has a pull here. I would love this position as black. What would I do as black? I would probably try to get in g5 somehow, but it might not be tactically.
But you could have done it on the previous move instead of queen g6, right?
Yeah, let's see. How would I have done here with g5? Yeah, g5 is one of the, it's move the computer was considering for a while. Okay, so the danger here is that if you attack prematurely, okay, so knight e1, and now f3 actually is starting to happen.
Okay.
Okay, so, I'm not a perfect player. G6, queen g6 actually is the computer's best move to keep the clamp. Now, black abandons the clamp, and this is where Ray Robson gets let back into the game. Well, black will have an advantage again a little while later. Now they're down to half an hour each. It's over the next 10 moves that they really use a lot of their time. But of course, this is the crux of the game. And you'd really like to have at least 45, 50 minutes for the next 20 moves. Maybe not a half hour, even with the increment. The increment's going to bring you up 10 more minutes, but total for the next 20 moves only. So anyway, so this game has some wonderful tactical motifs that are going to show. It's just that the wonderful tactical motifs had to become very breezy. So here we go, an 11-minute think. It is one of the top 2 moves, so that's fine. So the other aspect of the lecture that I gave was, can we teach kids to be more like the young Vishy Anand, who played the first 20 moves relatively quickly and left himself more time to think in the crunch time. Okay, knight g4. This is really attacking, and there are lots of tactics with sacrifices on f2 and f3 that are going to come into play. But the first thing you have to judge is, how bad was it that you lost a knight and a center pawn? You went to pawn down and lost a knight. Well, you saw if your other piece is still guarded. Now, the first important motif. Well, so here, by the way, the computer wants black to sacrifice on f2. Knight takes f2 is the move, either before or after playing the move that Gujarati played in the game. Okay, but now either temporize or sack on f2. So this is the correct sacrifice. I'm not going to go into details of why, though. It gets very hairy, complicated. But the natural thing to look at is, what if you try to invade on h2 by playing this? Now, white can't take with the f-pawn because then queen e3 check is smothered mate. Okay. The key tactical point in this position is that white can take on g4. That's why white's queen was staying on the 4th rank. But it gets very interesting when white plays this. Okay, now you're tempted to play rook takes f3, but now with d6 check thrown in first, queen takes g4 is just going to repulse black's attack. Okay, so it turns out that the right way is to play knight takes f4. Okay, now white can throw in some moves, but if you take, the point is white's rook on a5 is hanging. Okay, so white stops that first. Okay, And now actually the only way for white to stay alive is to expose black's king before taking on f2. You take on f2 right away, it's, oh, now it's mate in 3. Okay, so queen e3 check, yeah, then rook takes f3 check, and queen takes e2 and queen g2 mate. Okay, so so that's the other reason you have to play bishop takes g7, which will give you some tempo. So okay, so lots of exciting things, possibilities in this position. Okay, so Gudjaraty did play the temporizing move, and white played rook c5. And now the move, the computer's move, is one we haven't been talking about, but it's to play knight e3, and that's actually what Gudjaraty did. Okay, so so now knight takes f2, knight e3. Okay, so this is going to win an exchange, actually, and white Robson opted to give up his queen. Now the players are down to about 5 minutes. Still have 10 moves to make before turn 40, but wait, there's no lump sum at turn 40. And Robson used almost all the rest of his time. Absolutely had to do this to complicate the game, okay, even more. So we're going to see pieces flying all over the place at the end of this game. And bishop takes f8, actually a mistake. So the correct move was to play this rook up here. Right, there's no back rank checkmate. This being very solid and reinforcing the attack on f4. So he may have thought that intended to play rook c d4, and then realized that it's not going to work because black is going to be able to play rook takes f4 and d1 is hanging. So the Ernst Steele move is rook d4, but white captured black's rook. This actually, you know, you could deceive yourself into thinking this isn't as bad as it looks. So black does, however, remove the great pawn on d5, but white is going to be able to take one of black's bishops. And black decided to take this. This looks natural to ruin white's pawn structure, but it's giving away some of the initiative. Okay, so black still should win this. And I think black should just play bishop takes f6 check. What's the bishop takes f6? What's the problem here? I guess the problem is you can't play king g7 on knight e4. Now you just bring up the a pawn. And I don't know, is this winning for black? The computer doesn't see anything immediate. But that's what I would have done to keep things simple. But both players were now down to only about, they were really playing on the increments from this time more. So that's something to realize about what happens in the rest of this game. We can't criticize the players too much. So the white plays with the principle, well, I'm not going to get checkmated because my king's very safe on g2 with this pawn structure. So why don't I just throw my army forward? As long as I don't lose anything to a fork, maybe the pieces will organize themselves and attack black's king. And this is exactly what happens in the game. So, okay, well, oh, you want a pawn, and we protected our knight. So that's good. And now white actually, this is the crucial mistake. White has the advantage from this point onward. Now, white didn't play bishop g7 right away, but we can't really criticize. So how could black have blunted the effect of knight e4? Answer, take that knight. So but he didn't want to help white improve the pawn structure. So now white has this gorgeous knight on e4, and black is actually not going to be able to trade bishops anytime soon. Bishop e5 would have been met by rook h5. Now bishop g7 check, and nice move. Temporizing. Okay.
Is it a draw?
It actually, ordinarily I would have said that this gained time on the clock for playing on increment. So if you know that you can give some checks, you get 30 seconds increment, but actually Robson got the 30-second increment there, but now used it. here. The clock is showing after the 30 seconds. So Robeson actually wound down his time down to 3 seconds left before playing his move, and then realized that he could play knight f6. Really pretty move. G4. And now we're going to see one more pretty move by white. Okay. Okay, now this is opening the f6 square for the knight. And here it comes. And now rook g3. And now the one more pretty move to end the game. We don't care that you're attacking the bishop. This is going to be checkmate on g6. And
no defense.
Yeah.
Okay, Ken, it was very instructive and very entertaining. Thank you so much for today's program.
Yep.
And we'll see you next week, same place, same time.
Yep, I didn't mention the British Championships, but I shall be watching all this from the beach. So,
okay.
Yeah. All right.
Have a great holiday, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend as well.
Thank you. Yes. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.